Hi, and welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Coming at you from Hardin Ridge Campground in Hoosier National Forest. Which begs the question,
What is a Hoosier?
stay tuned to find out what we learned.
This is the Indiana portion of our video.
And it's a little bit different than any video or any trip we've taken, because of the entire reason for this trip is
Karen Kingbury and her fictional family, the Baxters.
and she chose the city of Bloomington, Indiana as the setting for this family. And in the preface of the book, she says some of the places are real, some are fiction.
And she invited her readers, if they know Bloomington, to try and figure out which is which.
So, I still teach. We were looking for somewhere else to go this summer and looking at maps and really just couldn't decide on anything until I'm looking at the atlas and I see Bloomington, Indiana. And as soon as I mention that,
Let's go. We're ready.
And so, if you are just curious about Hoosier National Forest, the Hardin Ridge Campground, things to do in the area, we're going to show you that, just like we do in all of our videos.
Yes.
But when you see random parks or hospital or
Churches.
then those are some locations that could have been places that she chose for her characters to work or visit, or the patriarch of the family is a doctor, and so is one of the daughters, and so hospital we needed.
Some of them we know are settings in her book. Lake Monroe,
which is where we stayed. For those of you who are Karen Kingbury fan, the Hardin Ridge Campground is actually on Lake Monroe, and so it's just been it's been so much fun trying to go and figure out.
Yes.
And so as you watch this video, just understand it's not your typical travel log video. And one other thing we want to do is give a big shout out to the people at the Bloomington Visitor Center.
Yes.
They were awesome. They were so helpful and told us where to find a few things, and they let us use their Wi-Fi, and it was just wonderful people. And so the town of Bloomington is it's a neat town.
It's fantastic.
And Hoosier National Forest is a beautiful, absolutely phenomenal place to go and stay.
Yes.
Hope you enjoy the video.
If you haven't read Karen Kingsbury and you're interested, start with Redemption.
I know that I started with one that I thought was a standalone, and it kind of helped me because then as things progressed through the entire series of the book, so I just was like, oh, this is going to work out.
Yeah, it's a series within a series. And so the first ones, I think, are the Redemption, and
I think they're like
from there.
Yeah, they're like 20 or 25. You need to go to her website, look at the Baxter series, and go completely through those in order. But it's a wonderful series. Obviously, both of us have read. I haven't finished all of those. I'm close, but it's a wonderful, wonderful series.
Yes.
And thank you, Karen Kingsbury, for introducing us to a part of the country we never would have seen otherwise.
Yes.
Okay, here are some of the campsites and just some of the surroundings here in Hoosier National Forest.
There is a main road and then 5 loops that go off, each with a different name. And in only one of those can you run a generator.
Right, that road goes from the entrance all the way down to the lake, and then those 5 loops coming off of it. And just wanted to give you an example of some of these campsites. They are gorgeous. And it's not set up like most campgrounds. Here are curbside sites. We've not seen those before. You just pull up, and then your campsite is outside your door, but nothing's on the other side.
Right.
And so those are called curbside sites. But the other thing is, it's not like there's a loop where there's just water, or there's a loop where there's water and electric. They're all mixed together at all of the different...
But there are only 10 sites with water and electric.
They also have carry-in sites, which is something we hadn't seen before. There's a parking lot, and then this path that leads back up.
And it's not terribly far.
No, you can see we just came right up here, and then here are the campsites. And I had thought this would be fun for like a family reunion.
There's a bathroom right there. It's
Right, and you're back up inside of the
and
forest.
You have the whole little area.
Right, and you'd have that whole area. Now, I thought that was a great idea because I was just carrying a camera. If you're having to carry your tent and food and all of that
and stuff, it might not be so great, but I think it might.
I just think it would be fun, especially if you've got a bunch of kids with cousins and stuff running around together. And then there's this path.
It's a great path.
It runs the entire length of the campground from the entrance all the way down to the lake.
And you can see the road from the path and the path from the road.
And so any of those 5 camping loops that you're on, you just walk to the end of that road and you can get on this path and you're able to walk the entire length of the campground without being on the road.
Yes.
And the dogs and I took advantage of this a lot.
Yes.
And it's you can tell, it's extremely well maintained. A lot of times, like where a log has fallen, they've just cut the section out that's on the path.
Yes.
The entire campground I felt was extremely well maintained.
I did too.
And it's just a gorgeous area.
There were like 5 park hosts or 6 or.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they were scattered throughout the entire area. And then this is the swimming area on Lake Monroe.
It's in a little alcove.
The one that's here at Hardin Ridge Campground.
Lake Monroe is huge.
Yes, and so there are a lot of various state parks, etc., that are on.
Corps of Engineer parks.
Right, but this is a gorgeous swim area. 2 ladies from Texas that are used to swimming when the air temperatures in the 90s and 100s opted not to get in when the air temperature was in the low 80s. But you can see people taking advantage of that. And
there's a boat launch.
And this is the one that's in Hardin Ridge. Yeah, and it's a gorgeous area. And so a lot of access. And then there are pictures, a scenic outlook.
Yes.
Where we could see marinas, etc.
Last night, a couple came in next door, and we were talking to them. They were asking, why. I asked where they were from. They were from Michigan. And we were telling them we came here because of Karen Kingsbury's books. And asked why he came, and he said for geodes. And I really didn't pay that much attention until I kept hearing this little hacking, banging thing. So finally I went over and I said, okay, what's a geode? And he had some that he had broken open. And I don't have any that are that great. But essentially, it looks like cauliflower, a rock that looks like cauliflower on the outside. But on the inside, it's got crystals. And he said, this is one of the best places in the country to find them. So I thought, well, by golly, I'm here. I want to go find some. And so this morning, Theo and I went for this massively grueling hike. And had decided it was just going to turn into a hike. And then I saw this that looks sort of like cauliflower. Okay, our collection of geodes. As you can see, we got quite a few, and once again the largest one is basically the size of a volleyball, I would say. This one was open when I found it, and I'm kind of anxious to get that cleaned up and see what all's in there.
Coming and going from Bloomington, we passed this historic, wonderful, amazing little log chapel. We just wanted to snap a picture of it.
Okay, we are in Bloomington, Indiana, and they have a Pedigo bike rental place here. And the prices to rent these bikes varies depending on the location. These were just $15 an hour. And this is a very bike-friendly town. And but just pulled over for a water break and
to show you the bikes. And
the bikes are awesome. And if you're not familiar with them, they are electric bikes. And so with pedal assist.
She rides a motorcycle. I hadn't been on a bike in over 40 years. After it gets going, it's just like riding a bike.
Okay, this is the Visitor Center in Bloomington, and once again, those people were so helpful.
And outside a little town with some window box flowers.
And a lot of parking garages we saw even had those. But the architecture in this town was just gorgeous.
Here we are at the farmer's market, a festival atmosphere.
Saturday mornings, and so thankful that she mentioned it because it was a lot of fun to go there.
Musicians, just fun.
There were Amish vendors, so we didn't record down actually within the selling area, but it was just a lot of fun. Okay, here we are. We're not just creepers driving slowly through a park, zooming in on pictures of children, no matter how this looks. Actually, that's exactly what we did. But the reason for that is there's a very crucial scene that takes place in a park with a park bench, and so we needed the shot.
This is the Bloomington Hospital. Two of the characters are doctors.
And then the Clear Creek Christian Church. This is the new building and the original building.
And then a cemetery is outside of the church.
And this is not necessarily the cemetery in the book, but...
And here we have some apartments.
And there were a lot of scenes that mention
Yes.
apartments, etc. And so there's just some various ones around town, and some that are right at the campus as well.
And here are some shots of the campus. It's a gorgeous campus.
And to just say what an amazing author Karen Kingbury is, this looked exactly like I thought it would. And
that is amazing for an author to be able to do that.
And an important thing coming up here is these are fraternity houses right across the street, and in the Take One, Take Two, Take Three series, there's important things that happen and talks about going across the street and sitting under a tree. Well,
that could have easily
that's
happened.
exactly what this looks like. But just wanted to give you some idea of how beautiful this campus is.
It's a large campus.
And really pretty, and because of the setting being in Bloomington, there's a lot that happens at this campus, and it is large, it is pretty, but that's just some of the architecture and the structures that are here at the Indiana University, and office buildings, etc., that are here. And then we went out to
the sports complex. This is where they play basketball. If you're a Hoosier, you know it's important. And the football stadium, where another important scene takes place.
Right, and then there are some apartments that are right across the campus, across the street from the campus. Could have been these.
Okay, first of all, want to thank all of our good-natured Indiana friends who helped us as we pursued an answer to the question, what is a Hoosier? We can't go into detail about all of the answers we got. One was about a man named Hoosier who helped to build a canal years ago in the 18-something. It's one of the oldest state nicknames. And this man was very hardworking, and he called his employees Hoosier men. That's one. Another was that a Native American term for maize or corn or grain that was grown in this area was Hosa, and somehow that became a derivative of Hosa became Hoosier, and I don't know what all went with that. There was another, one of the definitions that I actually found out was it's a person that's from Indiana, and that was the definition. It didn't actually say what it was. After talking to a lot of people, and all of them essentially laughing at the end, I want to quote a very good friend of mine who is from Indiana and very, very proud to be a Hoosier. And when I called to ask her, because I had really been kind of going around and we were here and asking different people, and I just said, okay, what is a Hoosier? And she said, nobody knows. Nobody knows. We don't know why we call ourselves that, but that's what we are. So, go Hoosiers. Okay, Marlena, we are getting ready to leave Hardin Ridge.
Sadly, we're getting ready to leave.
Campground here at Hoosier National Forest, and it is sad to leave. It's been awesome. Bloomington is
Amazing.
beautiful little town.
Cute town.
And can certainly understand why Karen Kingsbury picked that for
Yes.
the Baxter Series. What were some of the things that have stood out for you?
Running the pedagogues. It was so much fun.
Fun is the word for that. It really was a lot of fun, and look forward to renting them again somewhere.
And I loved watching you find, seeing that you found the geodes.
Well, that was, I didn't have the camera with me, but Theo and I hiked down It's a trail that goes behind the amphitheater, and it's 175 steps down.
Yeah.
And then a moderate climb back up, winds back up. But anyway, I had decided that was just going to be a hike, that I really didn't know what I was doing or what I was looking for. And we saw a deer that it scared us as much as we scared it. But that was, the fun thing about that was that's when I really realized, man, I am in a forest.
Yes.
Because it was just kind of out there. And but anyways, we came back and we crossed this little creek, and I'm looking, and I saw what I thought was a geode, and then found several that were there, and then literally less than 2/10 of a mile from the campsite here, the people next door said there was a whole bunch, and went over and watched our geode thing. I found one that's about the size of a volleyball. So looking forward to getting those cleaned up and seeing what's in them.
Nope, sure.
Yeah, so
All in all, a wonderful trip.
as a matter of fact, we were enjoying it so much. The sun is going. That's why I'm sleeveless, and we're just kind of like we are, because we were just sitting here talking about how much we don't want to leave. And it's like, wait, we're leaving. We have to do some final thoughts. And so it has been a memorable trip.
One more word about Frank and Karen at Pedigo. They are so helpful and so friendly.
One small, and I don't know, I'll probably cut this out, but we were just looking for somewhere to eat. We wanted to eat somewhere in Bloomington. And we were tired. We'd ridden.
Yes.
We'd gone to Nashville. We'd done all kinds of things.
Nashville, Indiana.
Indiana, yeah. And coming back, we had stopped at where they told us was a good place to eat, and it was closed. We crossed the street, and then I see this place. It's called Armpit of India. Like, okay, let's go in and see what they have. And
She said, let's go to Armpit. I thought she was joking.
we go in. They're closing at 3, but they have a little buffet that we can do to go, and they have places out front, and it was comfortable. So we ate Armpit of India. It was actually
Amrit. Ask her, if you were serious, why would you eat at a place called Armpit?
Because I was tired and hungry. And, I hadn't had much Indian food, and so, hey, it was a chance to try it. So, anyway, even including that, Bloomington, our time here at Hoosier National Forest has just been outstanding and
One
beautiful.
of our very favorite, probably our second favorite place.
So, who knows?
After Washita.
After I retire, because we still are on my schedule. But after I retire, we definitely may make another trip back up here because it's just so much fun.
Yes.
So,
Thanks for watching Two Tired Teachers.